15 most powerful Islamic countries in the world. Hello everyone, welcome back to Amstein TV. In today's video, we will be talking and taking a look at the 15 most powerful Islamic countries in the world. As we all know, there are currently 55 countries with an Islamic majority who are part of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. The second largest religion in the world, there are currently approximately 1.9 billion Muslims in the world, and the figure is expected to rise consistently and continuously because of high population growth rates of many Muslim majority countries. While even in countries where Muslims are a minority, Islam is still the fastest growing religion. For example, in the UK, Muslims make up around 6.5% of the total population, a major growth from 4.9% in 2011. Number 15, Qatar. That is, we have from the total score of 66.2. Qatar is one of the richest nations in the world in terms of GDP per capita because of its vast oil reserves. In 2017, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, and Egypt all ended diplomatic relations with Qatar, resulting in a blockade which lasted till early 2021. Despite this embargo, Qatar developed better relations with Turkey and Iran and actually emerged stronger both economically and militarily. 14. Morocco. Total score of 66.6. Morocco's economy is relatively liberal after privatization of many companies in the 1990s. One of the most expensive countries in Africa, it was also ranked first in the quality of life index by the Economies Intelligence Unit. 13. Kazakhstan. With a total score of 67.6. Kazakhstan is home to the largest economy in Central Asia, as the former Soviet Republic continues to grow its GDP. In addition to driving and deriving income from manufacturing and service sectors, the nation is also home to oil, minerals, and metal services. 12. United Arab Emirates with a total score of 74.0. The UAE is one of the most visited countries in the world, as it continues to try and diversify its economy from oil, which is the basis of the country's riches. After establishing relations with Israel recently after decades of enmity, the UAE recently combined with Israel on a joint naval vessel as military ties the country's growth. 11. Malaysia with a total score of 78.4. Malaysia has generally enjoyed stability over the last 3 decades, but this has evaded the nation recently with political upheaval taking center stage. It is still the 8th largest economy in the Muslim world. 10. Iraq with a score of 79.4. Iraq's economy was decimated when the US invaded the country in 2003 on the pretext of searching for weapons of mass destruction which were never found. However, it is still among the most powerful Islamic countries in the world. 9. Bangladesh with a total score of 81.0. Bangladesh gained independence from Pakistan in 1971. A little over 50 years ago, but has grown significantly and steadily since then. Considered to be among the fastest growing economies in the world, the country has made great strides in development and aspires to become an upper middle income country by 2031. Since its independence, the country has received over $35 billion from the World Bank. 8. Algeria with a total score of 81.2. Algeria's economy is still expected to grow by 3.7% in 2023 amid a slowdown with the country's economy dependent on oil While oil prices fell heavily when the COVID-19 pandemic hit in 2020, they have recovered since, and Algeria's economy has recovered accordingly as well. 7. Nigeria. With a total score of 83.2, Nigeria is expected to become the most populated Muslim country in the world in a couple of decades, with its high population growth being a detriment to its economic growth. Internal conflict has also been a burden on resources in this country. 6. Iran. With a total score of 87.8, Iran is an enigma. It has continued to remain influential despite massive Western sanctions for pursuing nuclear dismal relationship with Israel. With its trade mainly coming from Israel and Saudi Arabia, Iran has also invested heavily in its military and thus remains a powerful country to come up. 5. Saudi Arabia. With a total score of 90.0, Saudi Arabia was a desert till the discovery of massive oil reserve, which resulted in the country transforming very quickly into a modern state. The country had the highest GDP growth in 2023 among all Gulf 20 countries at 8.7%, cementing its place among the most powerful Islamic countries in the world. The country's proxy war has resulted in Saudi Arabia accelerating its spending on defense, while almost 80% of its arms purchases come from the United States of America. 4. Egypt. With a score of 90.0. Since March 2022, the Egyptian pound has lost nearly 50% of its value against the dollar, even as economic growth is offset by significant population growth. This is why, despite economic growth, many Egyptians believe their standard of living has decreased over the years. Meanwhile, its military has unprecedented control over most aspects of governance, which is why its military strength is so high. Despite these setbacks, Egypt is really. 3. Pakistan. With a score of 91.2, Pakistan boasts the strongest military in the Muslim world, which should come as no surprise considering the threat it faces from India and the fact that it is the only official Muslim nuclear power in the world. However, while its military is fearsome, its economic is anything but. The country has struggled in the past years with threat of a default looming. 2. Turkey. With a score of 93.8, the third largest economy in the Muslim world, Turkey has already been reeling from an economic crisis which has resulted in hyperinflation in the last decade. The country's issues have been exacerbated by the recent earthquake in the region and Syria, which resulted in more than 50,000 deaths, and we have long-term economic impact. This might result in Turkey having to compromise on its ever-escalating military budget despite the situation in the economic crisis in the nation. And finally, 1. Indonesia. Topping the list of the 15 most powerful Islamic countries in the world is the most populous Islamic country and the only such nation whose GDP exceeds $1 trillion, coming in at $1.2 trillion in 2022, one of the biggest economies in emerging markets. Its backbone is the country's strong middle class. The threat of inflation hasn't spared Indonesia, because of which the country is now looking towards higher internal consumption to drive growth in 2023. Even though the country boasts a strong military, it is still aiming to become a dominant maritime power, with its biggest trade coming from China's instructions and the nuclear submarine deal by Australia, the United Kingdom, and the United States of America. That is it as we get from the top 15 most powerful Islamic countries. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and share the video as well.